Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Live from the Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show as we look ahead to game week 18, which is entitled Operation Munoz, as he goes for an operation. The man has been the bane of my life the last 3 game weeks, I think. Ended up captaining him for a 1-pointer. Didn't captain him midweek when he got something like a 17-pointer, and then captained him last weekend when he didn't even make the pitch. Fair enough, it wasn't his fault this time round. He is injured. He's going off for surgery, and he's not likely to be back between 4 to 6 weeks, which in this game is probably about 7 or 8 fixtures. We'll have a look at the fixtures later when we're looking for somebody to bring him in. So there we see on the graphic somebody having a look for a replacement, and I am one of those guys, and I'm fairly sure several here will be as well. Even as those in the chat already, hello John Boy, Tim's in, Craig's in, evening gents, hope you're doing well. So tonight we are going to have a look at my team, see how we got on. We'll have a look at the leaderboard. We've got the Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show League to have a look at and the overall leaderboard. We'll have a look at the match centres from the weekend. David's in as well. Evening, David. Yeah, we'll have a look at the match centres for the weekend. We'll have a look at a quick look at team of the week, team of the season, a couple of changes there. Transfer counts. We'll have a look at the fixtures and this game week with Rob T's charts. We'll have a look at some charts from the planner, and I filtered that to have a look for some possible Munoz replacements. We'll have a couple of questions to answer from guys that have sent them in as well. Then we'll finish with having a look at the team and my plan for a Munoz replacement. So let's take a look first off at the team as it stands. So there we have from last week, Raya in goal, 3 points. Timber the 2. He's got a flag as well. Van Heck, who was brought in for Saliba on Sunday, 8 points there. Arteta has said about Saliba again today. Apparently his press conference is days. He's been off so many days. I've had to take my shoes and socks off to count the days. Timber's in the same boat apparently. Rice as well. Not sure who's going to play. And we had a question from Cloud of F Loser. So what to do with holding Arsenal defenders? Too much uncertainty and therefore cut your losses. We have held out this long, may as well stick and hope they're all back for next week. Well, when we have a look at the fixtures, we will see that there's not too many teams playing on Saturday. So if your Arsenal player isn't playing and you do want to get rid of him, then it might be an opportunity on Sunday that you can move on. You could say that Liverpool and Chelsea are both playing Saturday, so if you want to get one of their defenders, you could. If you haven't got Chelsea one, I think that's probably a fairly good option. As for Liverpool, very much hit and miss, so we shall see. So the rest of the team, yeah, Shalabar with 9, the stricken Munoz, who was captain, 0, Virgil 2, shot bonus, pass bonus, but he got yellow card, concessions against. Hero of the week was Bruno on Monday with 38 points. Rice with 3, Enzo with 6. He's dropped back into the double pivot now, so it looks like he's picking up more passing tiers, so gives him a stay of execution. Haaland captain, 1 shot on target, doubled his score from 3 to 6, and Thiago 3, so pretty disappointing all round. If it wasn't for Bruno, it'd have been a very poor week indeed. So this is the show league, and Tim's in the chat, top of the shops there. Well done, Tim. Can I just shock you? 1291. Gary Robbins in second, GA Rovers 1287. Martin Brown in third, 1276. Dean Hicks in fourth, 1257. FPL Vincenzo, he's in the chat. Evening Craig, 12.57 as well. Johnny Curry, 12.55 in 6th. Colin Wilson, 7th with 12.50. Melvin Paul, 12.48. Joint in 8th with Duncan Bailey, 12.48. Then in joint 10th, Michael Blackburn and Joseph Corley, 12.43. Well done all. FPL Spartans in as well. Evening, sir. Let's have a look at the overall leaderboard. So we can see here in 11th place, Johnny Curry. 9th, FPL Vincenzo. 9th, equal with Dean Hicks. Thomas Lavelle in 8th. John Jacobs 7th. Alex in 6th. Then Martin Brown in 5th, 1276. Gary Robbins, 1287. Tony Davies, 1290. Tim Barry, 1291. And Jerry, 1292. So very tight at the top there. What's that? That's something like 15 points separating the top 5. So all to play for as we enter, well, we now 40% of the season done, so still 60% of the games left to play. So let's have a look and see where those points came from last week. I'm going to need to nudge this back a week again. There we go. So first game of the week was an absolute cracker, which is a surprise for a 12:30 Saturday. It was Aston Villa 2, Arsenal 1. Goal scorers were Cash and Buendia for Villa, Trossard for Arsenal. Tier 3s for Martinez in goal with 7 saves, and for Odegaard with shots. Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 0. Tier 3s for Semenyo with shots. Sanchez with saves and Fernandez with passes. Everton 3, Forest 0. Goal scorers for Everton and Milenkovic own goal. T. Barry, not Tim, I hope. What's his name? Tierno, I think. And Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Tier 3s, Anderson for Forest with the tackles. Got a question from David about Forest. We'll cover that. We'll cover that when we have a look at the fixtures, David. Manchester City 3, Sunderland 0. Goal scorers were Diaz, Gvardiol and Foden. Tier 3s, Diaz with the passes, Hume and Lefay with the tackles for Sunderland. Newcastle 2, Burnley 1. Goal scorers were Bruno Guimaraes and Gordon with a penalty. Fleming with a very late penalty for Burnley. Tier 3s, Guimaraes with the shots. Dubravka with the saves and Brun Larsen with the tackles. Tottenham 2, Brentford 0. Goal scorers were Richarlison and Simmons. Tier 3s, all on the Brentford side. Kelleher with the saves. And then a trio of tacklers, Collins, Coyote and Henderson. Leeds 3, Liverpool 3 in the tea time game. Goal scorers were Calvert-Lewin, Stack and Tanaka with goals for Leeds. Ekitike with a brace for Liverpool and Szoboszlai. One tier 3, Ekitike with the shots. And then the Super Sunday, Brighton 1, West Ham 1. Rutter equalising late for Brighton after Bowen had given West Ham the lead. Tier 3s, Dunk and Van Heck for passes for Brighton, and Mateus Fernandes with tackles for West Ham. Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2. Harry Wilson, another crackerjack goal, 38th minute. Palace, Nketiah and Gahey. Tier 3s were on the Fulham side, passing for Bassey and Anderson. And then Monday Night Football, Wolves were Manchester United 4. Goal scorers, Wolves, Bellegarde. Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes 2, Bryan Mbeumo and Mason Mount. And the only tier 3 was Mbeumo with the shots. So let's have a look at Team of the Week. So in goal is Sanchez. It's a back four this week. Ruben Diaz, Gvardiol, Cash and Gahey. No surprise, they've all got in common they scored a goal. Bruno Fernandes, top scorer of the week with 19. Dewsbury Hall, Bruno G, Simons and Foden is 5 in midfield. And Ekitike up front for Liverpool. As we saw last week, not too many highly owned players in this. Fernandes at 75% of the top 100. Gahey at 28, who has done absolutely wonders for those that have owned him. Well done to you all. It could be that those that have got Munoz, a sideways swipe to Gahey if you haven't got him is no bad thing at all. Team of the season. So we're in a 5-3-2. So Raya, Chalobah, Munoz, Van Heck. 2 new defenders coming in. So Ruben Diaz and Gahey. I think the 2 leaving were Timber and Calafiori. 3 in the middle, Fernandes and Semenyo remain, but Brian Mbeumo replaces Enzo Fernandez. And then up front, the same 2 again, Haaland and Thiago. Average remaining transfers, all coming down this week. So overall, 39.14, down just over a half. Top 100, 34.35, down just under a half. Top 50, 32.16, down almost an entire transfer. And in the top 10, 28.4, down 3.4. So these are coming down quite quickly. So these are the upcoming fixtures. And because we've got a replacement to find, I've put these on all the way up to the FA Cup, draw for which was made last week. But yeah, the last game that we have is fixture day 57, which is Thursday game, Arsenal v Liverpool on January the 8th. So we're looking here for Munoz replacements. Now, the greens on the top, we can see we've got single game days. Quite a few of these still involve Manchester United. So you can see Monday the 15th, so Monday come in, they play Bournemouth. And then they play Aston Villa on a week on Sunday. It's the only Sunday game with the Palace and Arsenal games being brought back to the Saturday because they're playing the EFL Cup on Tuesday the 23rd. Then we have Monday the 22nd is Fulham against Nottingham Forest. As David alluded to, they've got 2 single game days. Boxing Day, the only game is Manchester United again against Newcastle. Now, if you have a look, skip forward there to Tuesday the 6th of January, this is when Nottingham Forest go to play West Ham. And then, as mentioned, the last of the single game days that we can see so far before the FA Cup is Arsenal v Liverpool. So David's question was, just find it up here. Oh, sorry, I've moved that too far now. Move this up a bit. So it says, pros and cons of a Forest player to cover their 2 single game days. Their fixtures aren't too appealing in between them, although it's an effective 7-for-3 over several teams. So yes, I think the point in question, David, and you're right to raise it, is the pro for taking the Forest player is you're going to get both captaincy days. If you get a little bit of luck, you've got 2 big scores. In between, you've got Manchester City, Everton and Aston Villa. As you say, not great. So we normally say if you want to go for a captaincy, it wants to be like high end, somebody that's capable of scoring a couple of goals. This time last year when Forest had 2 single game days, I think they had a Monday and a Friday back to back. Those that went for Sells were disappointed. Those that went for Chris Wood were delighted because he scored in each game. I think he got a brace in one of them, and it was something like a 30-point swing with the captaincy. So this time round, when we get to see the charts, I've got some players of Forest that are in there. They're not doing as well as others, and it might be a case of you pick somebody and just hope that they strike it lucky in those 2 fixtures. we'll see what my plan is when we have a look at the charts in a minute. But the downside of going for Forest is if it doesn't pay off in the two captaincies, you're probably not getting too much at all. These are the kind of guys that can get like 3 or 4 points, maybe 5 or 6. The likes of Elliot Anderson is always in and around the passing, in and around the tackles. But if he doesn't do anything else, you get a 6-pointer. Well, 6 points doubled 12, done that twice, 24. And then you add in, say, another 6 points for 3 games in between, so 24 and 18, 42 points over the 5 weeks is probably not too bad, really, is it? 8 points a time. So, yeah, that 7 for 3 is certainly something to look at. And it could be that when we get to next week, because we'll be back next Friday to have a preview, and we'll probably be covering all the games in between then and the new year, then it could be that Forest are the people to go to. And if we've got somebody like Munoz to lose now, who do Forest play this week? So they've got Tottenham at home, so you go Tottenham, Fulham, Man City, Everton, Villa, West Ham, for one player that was not going to score any points anyway. So, yeah, food for thought. I don't mind Forest at all. It's a case of whether there's something else that can be done as well. So let's have a look here at Rob T. Very good on projected goals and clean sheet odds. So we just cover those that are sort of highlighted heavy. So Liverpool are projected to score 2 goals, 28% chance for clean sheet. I think Brighton will probably score, but Liverpool, can they score 2 goals? Is there anybody we can trust to get them? Somebody that we'll have a look at in the charts, possibly Szoboszlai, priced if you can go there over a Palace Munoz. All depends on formation. Midfielders aren't cutting much mustard at the minute. We've got Chelsea, 1.76 goals, 39% clean sheet against Everton. So if you're looking for a defensive replacement and you haven't got Chalobah, maybe he can be a go-to. Cucurella, another one, seems to play most games, plays well at home, gets forward, not getting so many tears, but is there a chance he's going to get attacking returns? Don't think Chelsea's fixtures are that great. So they have Everton, then a trip to Newcastle, play Villa, Bournemouth, Man City and Fulham both away. It's not the best, really. Arsenal, 2.7 goals, 57% clean sheet against a woeful Wolves. Arsenal rested, no game in midweek coming. The only difficulty is we're not sure who's going to play. I think those that have got Saka are probably going to be captaining this week. He was well rested. Looks like he should get most of the game coming up. Those that have got defensive assets, it's probably a case of not captaining them in case they don't play, but hold them in case they do, and you can move on afterwards. Manchester City visit Crystal Palace on Sunday. Now, if you look at these, I think Rob's got these games in order for Sunday. Yeah, so you've got West Ham v Villa, Crystal Palace v Manchester City, Sunderland v Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest v Tottenham Hotspur, all kicking off at 2 o'clock. And then the primetime show that Sky have is Brentford v Leeds. Now, that's because they're trying to be too cute again. They originally selected Sunderland v Newcastle to be the 4:30 game. The North East Police kiboshed that and said, no, you're not having that kick-off any later than 2 o'clock. So that goes back to 2 o'clock. And the game that Sky selected for 2 o'clock kick-off was Brentford v Leeds. So that's the one that gets moved back to 4:30. And the reason they did that is because Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest were all playing in Europe on Thursday. So those games get moved to a Sunday due to UEFA regulations. And Premier League say we're only going to play 3 days after. So it's a free game for Sky. They don't have to take it out of their allocation. So unlucky everybody that wanted to watch Palace v City and Sunderland v Newcastle, for example. You can make do with the multi-view with Lee Hendry at 2 o'clock if that floats your boat. But 4:30, it's Brentford v Leeds. Let's hope for our sake, everybody that's got Thiago, he's going to score some goals. Mini rant over. So, yeah, City are 1.78 goals and a 30% chance for a clean sheet. So, Captain Haaland on Sunday seems a way to go. Or is it going to be Brentford 1.54, 34% chance for a clean sheet? Are we going to go for Thiago? Leeds been pretty woeful away. So, could be a way to go. And then Monday, Manchester United back again, 1.9, Bournemouth 1.32, 27% chance for clean sheet for United. Everybody's got a United player now, so whoever you've got is going to be a captain. A word of warning, if those that have gone on Mbeumo, I think this is going to be his last game. All of the AFCON players have been said 15th of December. That's the day that you need to be making your way to the tournament. So I imagine he'll play that day and then go. It's not been confirmed he can play yet, but I'll be surprised if it's this late and then they say, oh no, you're not going. Right, let's have a look at some stats. So I have filtered this with defenders, midfielders and strikers, as we're looking for Munoz replacements. And I filtered it from game week 10, which was the October international break, and I'm only looking at 7 million to 10 million pound players. As you can see there, Munoz 8.8. He's currently sitting in third place for points here. Let's have a look at the chart. So we can see here, this is filtered players, and as I say, these are 7 million to 10 million, and taking the goalkeepers out. So top of the shops since game week 10 is Van Heck, then Chalobah, so they're on 70 and 61. Munoz shares with Ruben Diaz, 56. And there's a couple more over 50, Pedro Neto, Cash, Bruno Guimaraes, Dewsbury Hall. Then some high 40s, Reece James, Danny Welbeck, Fleming, Gusto, Cucurella, Dunk, Nunes, Rice, Calafiori, Marino, Rogers, Gibbs White. Could be a Forest player to look at there for you, David. Szoboszlai, Tete. Anybody who wants to get fun to go to the Fulham way. Lacroix, Mitchell. So those that just want to go direct to another Palace defender, and Casemiro, bringing up the 25th place there. And these are their points per 90. So, as previously stated, we are looking for those that are sticking their nose up above the parapets here. So, Reece James, 8.7. Gusto 8.3 and Marino 8. I imagine Marino's probably going to be not long for a starting position with Arsenal. We'll have a look at the tier points for these guys as well. So Van Heck out the front, 27. Rice, 21. Szoboszlai, 21. Enzo, 20. A few then in the high teens. And then those that are owned. So we've got Timber at 86%. Chalobah, 74. Munoz is 64. This is in the top 100. So there's 64 people that need to move him on. Semenyo is a 48, Enzo 36, and then we're looking at those a little bit lower down. So if you haven't got Van Heck and you have got Munoz, you can move in there, and that graph just gradually moves its way down. This one's a little more interesting. This is sort of ownership by points. And bear in mind, Semenyo sitting there in 4th position, so that shows he scored a lot of his points in the first 9 game weeks, because this is counting those from 10 onwards. Ones that sticking their nose up above the lines, Van Heck and Rogers and Mitchell. A bit further down is Welbeck. So there's food for thought on guys there that you can pick in for your Munoz replacement. Remember back to what we saw on the fixture ticker, which teams you want to pick. If you just want to go direct to Palace, then it looks like either Guéhi or Mitchell or even Lacroix could be your man. Guéhi has been doing well for those that have owned him so far. Or you've got the likes of Fulham, Forest or West Ham. So I had a look at those that are sort of at the upper echelons there. So for Fulham, there were 4. Tete, 7.1, 42 points in that time. Wilson, 7.1, 39 points in that time. Anderson, 7.4, 31. And Raul Jimenez, 8.6, 31. For Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White, 8.7, 42. Elliot Anderson, 8.3, 33. And Williams, 7.9, 38. For West Ham, they were a bit further down. Wilson, 7.4, 34. And Souček, 7.7, 27. One thing that we can said about all of those is they're cheap enough to fill in for that Munoz slot. So we have a look at the passes per 90. These are the guys that are sort of in the greens and oranges. This is back to season long now, not just since game week 10. So Tosin and Saliba are the guys in the green, 84 and 81. In the orange, we have Dunk, Virgil, Curtis Jones, Chalobah, and Nico Gonzalez. And then several in the yellow. We have Ruben, Van Heck, Anderson. That's the Fulham Anderson. Stones, Mosquera, Matheus Nunes, Elliot Anderson, Konate, Konza, Rice, Gvardiol, Zubamendi, Gabriel, and Gravenberch. For the shots, just wondering. Yes, I think that it is. I need to go back and put this to 12 million, I think. Yep, I'll put GK back in there. And then we can go back and have a look. Sorry about that. I forgot to have moved those around. Yeah, so the shots now, yeah, there's a Haaland back in the orange at 2.2. Several there in the yellow. In fact, quite the way down. Tackles, Paulinho in the green at 5.3, Veltman out at 4.3, and then we have half a dozen also in the yellow. Hall, Tete, Neco Williams, all mentioned earlier. Mitchell, Bueno, Caicedo, Kamada, and Timber. And for the saves, just Areola in the orange, Pope and Sells in the yellow. So these tiers are getting more and more difficult for people to find. Okay, let's have a look back then at my team. So this is where we picked it up from last week. So we had Raya, Thiago, Saliba, Timber, Chalobah, Munoz, Fernandes, Rice, Enzo, Virgil and Haaland. And as previously advertised, we moved Van Heck in for Saliba on Sunday last week. Shame I didn't give him a captaincy, but we didn't know anything about Munoz then. I had Fernandes as captain on Monday. And then we can see the planned move for this week. And I am going to bring in Raul Jimenez for Munoz tomorrow. That's the tea time game on Sky for those that are interested. Burnley v Fulham. Going to be a corker. Hopefully Raul will score. But yeah, the reason I'm bringing him in, he has 3 good fixtures up until and including the single game day. Have a look on the calendar here. So this is Fulham, play Burnley, Forest on a single game day, and then West Ham away. And then I think I'll be moving him on for somebody on this day, because once Munoz has gone, I won't have anybody to captain between Crystal Palace and Tottenham or Leeds at Sunderland. And if I just nudge this forward a bit, the plan currently is to leave everybody in place, and then if I need it, I can bring Mateta in for Raul on Sunday the 28th, and I have enough money in the bank. Because if you remember from last week, the original plan was to move Virgil onto Foden on Sunday. But now we have more news. I think I'm going to hold fire and see where need to move that Raoul place, and I think that place might be a moving feast as we go along through captaincies later into January. So the plan is then I've got Thiago down as captain on Sunday so far. Depending on the Palace team, I might change my mind. And then on Monday, it's going to be Bruno. And for Saturday, I think I might take a chance on Chalobah. I'm going to see the lineup. Not going to see the Arsenal one. I doubt we're going to get any more news. I fancy Chalobah for passing more than I fancy Liverpool for a clean sheet. Rice, last time I captained Rice, he only got the 3 points, so if I'm guaranteed 3 for passing off Chalobah, I think that's the way I'm going to go. Yeah. Sorry, I lost train of thought there. I've just noticed Tim Barry's put a question in. I knew it was there, Tim, but I've just seen it again now. So he was asking, is it time for Cole Palmer? Now, if you've got funds available, then maybe it is. But if we have a look at Chelsea's fixtures, they play Everton this week, then they visit Newcastle, then they play Aston Villa, then they play Bournemouth, then they have a trip to Man City and a trip to Fulham before playing Brentford after the FA Cup. Chelsea also have the EFL Cup quarter-final at Cardiff in midweek. If they win that, which is likely, in the midweek after the FA Cup, they're going to have the semi-final first leg. So I think for Mr. Palmer, we can wait. And it does look like they have a Sunday game on the 25th of January away to Crystal Palace, albeit a bit difficult, but I imagine that's on a Sunday because Palace won't have been playing in Europe that week, will they? So maybe Chelsea are away in Europe that week, and that's why the game is on the Sunday, or it could be just one that's picked for Sky, I don't know. But yeah, I think we're looking a few weeks away for Mr. Palmer. If he comes back with a bang against Everton, I doubt many going to bring him in for a Saturday game away at Newcastle. I think that's an early game as well, if I'm not mistaken. We can probably have a look at that, actually. Yeah, it is. It's 12:30, Newcastle v Chelsea. So you get to see the lineup, but I don't fancy Chelsea away at Newcastle anyway, to be honest, Tim. I've just seen a note as well. Thanks, David, about your Forest question. A note on Forest. Neco Williams is on 4 yellow cards. So if we want to bring him in, we ideally want him to get one this week. If he gets the yellow card this week, it's going to be banned from the captaincy game. So that's the last thing we need. Okay, maybe one to look elsewhere. As I say, Tim, as for Cole Palmer, I think I'll be looking further afield as well. But you never know. He is one of those that once he starts banging, he can certainly get on fire. Right, well, there we go, gents. Thank you very much. That's Munoz. Oh, wrong slide. I need to be back that way. Yeah, Operation Munoz over and out. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel again, please do. If you want to use the planners that have been utilised on the show, you'll find those over at Patreon, patreon.com/Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show. Enjoy the football over the weekend. If you're off to a Christmas party, as I am tomorrow night, enjoy that too. And we'll see you for more of the same next Friday as we look forward to the last week of games before Christmas. All right, cheers everybody. Thanks all. Take care. Bye for now.